Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to move beyond fear and make changes in your life, then do we have the Thriving Through Uncertainty show for you. Today I'll be speaking with Tama Kieves, ninja of freedom, visionary heroine, best-selling author, and the author of yet another incredibly inspiring book by her, Thriving Through Uncertainty. And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about moving beyond fear of the unknown and making change work for you. That, plus we'll talk about caterpillars and butterflies, breadcrumbs and gingerbread houses, Hawaiian punch and walking toward bears, the Buddha and chocolate mousse, maple scones and Spanx, and what in the world milk duds and chainsaws have to do with anything. Gotcha.
You have read my work, my friend.
Welcome back to the show, Tama. That was too much. Are you ready to shine?
Yes, we are.
Woohoo! You know, I didn't even know it when I made the list, how many food jokes there were in there. The gingerbread houses, the Hawaiian punch, the chocolate mousse, the maple scones. Not until the end, the milk duds and chainsaws. I'm like, wait, there's a theme here.
Someone's just a little obsessed, perhaps.
All good stuff, all good stuff. So I want to do Tama Kieves 101, but maybe before we fully do that, let's talk about your time many a year ago on a Northern California beach while working as a high-powered attorney.
Oh God! I mean, that was the archetypical moment for me. Of I had graduated Harvard Law School with honors. I was on partnership track. And I was so unhappy. I was so miserable. You know how like you're living for somebody else, you're doing somebody else's right life?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was young, I knew what I wanted. I had a dream. I wanted to be a writer. That's what I dreamed of. But I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, to an Orthodox Jewish family. And so if you want to write, that's like taking cocaine or something. I mean, that is so not okay. You know, it was like, you're going to write, you're going to starve. That was the basic party line. And so I denied those dreams, squelched everything, took this, quote, successful, secure, certain path, and found myself on partnership track in a major law firm, just dying and empty. So I literally felt like I wasn't sure I wanted to live anymore. And a friend said, just get out of here, get away. So I sat on this beach in Northern California, watching these waves roll in, and I'm journaling. And I just had this thought, like, I am happier right now than I have been in an entire year. And this ocean is free. And, you know, journaling is free. And maybe I don't need to make $1 gazillion a year to be secure and happy, okay. And so that was the moment I changed everything and shifted everything and decided you get one life. I want to know where this goes. And I walked out of that career to become a writer.
How did you do though? So you flew back and so you're probably mustering up courage on the flight, but then you get there and quote unquote reality had to set in.
Oh, absolutely. So I was talking myself out of it on the plane, of course, you know, like part of you, like, you know what you know, you've just seen the light of what you have to do. But on the plane, I'm thinking, I can't do this. That's crazy. This is going to look bad on my resume. And I remember telling a friend, I can't leave. It's going to look horrible on my resume. And he said, well, you know, I think a nervous breakdown is going to look worse, you know, like
True.
I think you don't have a choice. And that's the thing, you know, sometimes you get to these points in life where you know what you know. And I'd heard a voice at that time on the beach, not literally hearing voices, but felt this feeling of, I knew this clarity. And I knew that if I denied it, I'd wake up another 20 years later and say, but you knew, and you knew you knew. So I stayed there for a little bit longer, like a few weeks longer before I mustered up the courage to just say, here. And I did it.
How much did your journaling help?
Journaling for me is sanity. You know, you know me a little bit. I have a crazy mind, you know, like, I mean, everybody goes center and be still and whatever, you know, my mind is like a very busy factory, you know, constantly. And so, journaling for me is a way of getting out those fears and getting out those concerns, and also speaking to a deeper self, a smarter self, an extraordinary self. And as you know, in my work, that is so much of what I offer people, is not listening to that surface fear voice, what you think is practical, what you think is good judgment. I'm really trying to help people listen to that deeper voice, that wiser voice, that genius that we all have. And journaling for me is one of the ways I get there.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I teach writing to people, like on my first coaching session. I tell them we're going to go from KEGO, all the yep, 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 yep voices up here, and drop down into KHRT radio. Go straight to the heart.
I love it. And as you know, in Thriving Through Uncertainty, I have a technique that I swear by, that I use all the time, and it's called the Inspired SelfDialogues. And it's a journaling technique. And it's just basically, I'll just do a teeny thumbnail. It's just basically where you write your fears and you write what's going on and you write your concerns. And then you write back from that voice of love, and you write back from that voice of strength, and you write back from that voice of kindness. And it's amazing dialoguing back and forth, because everybody has so much wisdom, but we're at the top of our minds, and we're churning at the top of our minds. And we think that that's practical, and we think that that's reality. And we actually think that that's good judgment, when it's just noise, and it's conditioning, and it's the past, and it's habit. And for me, Thriving Through Uncertainty is about tapping into what's right now, what you know right now.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
So, and
I like woohoos. I'll woohoo you back, baby.
Please do. So you leave the law firm, and we may even come back to that tool. You leave the law firm, and we'll do kind of an express version, but you are fully stepping forward into, well, I'm going to go beyond uncertainty and call it oh crappedness.
Oh crappedness, yeah. Hallelujah, what the hell have I done this?
And you had many years of hallelujah, what have I done-edness?
Oh, my whole life. Did you have the illusion that I am beyond that now?
Well, that's surfing the wave, and there's some goodness in that.
Wave. An author who writes Thriving Through Uncertainty, guess what they deal with?
Well, my stomach was quivering as I'm reading about building your business, because we're on the same path, building our business, and you're talking about hiring people, and that it's worse than dating, and I'm going, oh God.
You know.
Oh yeah.
My whole life has been about embracing uncertainty, or going in the direction of uncertainty, which, again, most of us, it's natural to want to avoid that. And certainly in our culture, we have this thought, well, if I get over there, I'll be safe. And when this thing comes through, I'll be okay. Yep. And when that thing comes through, I'll be okay. But real life is uncertainty. So for me, it's always about, how do I meet uncertainty with a deeper certainty? How do I meet uncertainty with love? Yeah. And again, like you said, walking out of that law firm, I was off the map now. You're off the map now. And the beautiful thing is in an inspired life, and which is what I want for everyone. And I'm not saying somebody else has to leave a job or leave a marriage or leave anything. But I do say that I want you listening to that inspired voice. I want you listening to what you know in this moment. And sometimes it's going to make you go into uncertainty. And again, sometimes people fear that, or fear that when they hear me, I teach programs and workshops, and people go, oh God, she's still dealing with that. Oh God, I don't want her as the teacher. But if you're growing, if you're going to your next edge, if you're going to your next level of goodness, that means you're going to go beyond what you've known before. That means you're going to go beyond habit. That means you're going to go beyond conditioning. And that's what you want to do. You want to face that uncertainty. So yeah, I went into hallelujah. What have I done?
Woohoo! My wife, she chooses the guests that are on this show. And occasionally she chooses a guest that is great, but really challenging for me. And afterwards she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. That was much harder than you expected. And I'm like, no. I really want to hone this skill. I want to have fun with it. The challenging ones, as long as it's great for the audience, that's where I'm going to learn the most. It's like you're saying, it's living on that edge, on a beautiful edge.
Exactly. It's like for anybody who does yoga or any kind of exercise, it's just, you're going to stretch, you're going to grow. It's hard. And again, I want you to do it in a gentle way or in the right direction. In the right direction of, but for me, the greatest thing I've gotten out of this life is I was so schooled and trained to be practical, to be the good girl, to jump through any hoop you set for me, to get the A, to do whatever, to do what you said, what anybody external said, what school said, what the authorities said. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what my inner authority was saying. When people would say, well, how does that feel to you? I'd be like, well, what do I have to do to get the A? Just tell me. And this is an intuitive internal path. An inspired life is there is already a path inside you. It's not uncertain. There really is already a path inside you. It's just about learning how to listen moment by moment. And it's a different way to live, but it's such a fun way to live.
Well, if you talk about it, it's two paths, really. Your choice is path A, to live the uncertain life, go for it, and you are living your life. And yes, it may be walking through the muck, but it's a choice to be going through that muck. Or you can live someone else's life, which is a path of slow death. It really is not a path of living.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the worst thing about living somebody else's life is it drains your confidence because you're not even in your strength. You're not even in what you're meant to do. You're not even in your passion. You're not lit up from within. So like as an attorney, I was a great attorney. But I'd never be a superpower. I'd never be a superstar because it wasn't what I loved. And I remember one time watching some other young attorney and he loved the law, and I was like, oh God, just let me do my, I took lunch off and thought, okay, like just my hour of freedom, my 60 minutes away from the law, and he'd be like, oh my God, Tama, did you see what the Eighth Circuit ruled? And he'd be so excited. And I remember like being sickened by him. And then I remember thinking, I want to be that excited. I want to be that moved. And so if you're living somebody else's life, you're not in touch with your own strength. And then the worst part that happens is you can start feeling not confident. And then when you don't feel confident, you can listen to people like us saying, yeah, go for your dreams, go for your passion. And you might think, oh, I can't even get out of bed. I'm scared of everything. The worst part about not doing your right life is it drains you of your strength and you start thinking that you're weak or that you don't have options or that all of life is going to be draining. But I promise you that if you do something you love or something you're meant to do, that's going to buoy you. That's going to give you strength you don't even know you have.
Woohoo! So when you think you're weak, when you think you don't have...
I want everybody to woohoo me now, Michael. I think I deserve a woohoo chorus all the time now. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like a punctuation mark or an exclamation mark from the universe.
You get it. Thank you.
So when somebody is weak, when they think they don't have options, they're listening to this and they're going, that's great for Tama, but I don't have any idea where to go, where to turn, and frankly, Tama, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
What do we do?
So that's a really great question, an excellent question, because I think that is what happens, and people hear that and think, oh God, passion, I can't even, function. I have this in my first book, This Time I Dance. I have a chapter that talks a little bit about this where if you had really, really asked me what I wanted to do when I was a lawyer and I was just, killing myself 90 million hours a day, and if you had asked me, what do you really want to do? You can do anything. You can do that dreaded question, right? You can do anything. What do you really want to do? If I were being honest, I would have said, I want to take a nap. I just want to take a nap. That's really all I want to do. And so I have a chapter in that book called The Year of Sleeping Dangerously, of just because, and I have it in Thriving Through Uncertainty. I talk a lot about that too, about first, it's undoing all the old bad habits, right? If you're not in your passion and you're not in your direction, it might just be self-care and self-love. And again, our minds go, where is that going to go? How is taking a nap going to help me in my life? I have to figure out my career. And again, I talk a lot about this in Thriving Through Uncertainty, where if you want to get in touch with an inspired path, you have to let go of what you think that looks like. And you have to let go of, this has to be a career decision, or this has to be a health decision, or this has to be a monetary decision. It's actually really starting to listen to, what do I want right now? What feels good to me right now? If I weren't judging myself, if I weren't judging anything, and I were just being honest, and I was listening like a lover, to myself of, anything you want, honey, what would I want in this moment? And for me, it's following those moments that will lead you out of exhaustion, that will lead you to clarity. But it's hard to get out of that judgment and shut that mind off. So to me, that's the path.
And I want to talk more about the path, but you hit on something critical here when you were talking about the nap, the power of the pause.
Yes.
We need breath. We need those pause between the notes in our day, or it all blends together and there is no opportunity to hear anything. It's like 100,000 instruments all at the same time.
I'm gonna woohoo you.
Woohoo! Right back.
That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And again, we live in a westernized culture that's go, go, go. How much can you get done? 24/7, instant this, message that, blah, blah, blah. And one of the reasons that people say to me all the time, I'm a coach, and I'm always helping people find their calling and their genius and their dreams. And people will say all the time, but I don't know what I want. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to get there. And one of the reasons is because exactly what you just said. We're all up in our heads. We're all up in our heads. We're spinning in our heads. And your head is regurgitating facts and regurgitating habits and regurgitating conditioning. And I want you dropping down into your heart, into your soul, into your nowness, into whatever the hell it isness of you're not going to get answers from your head. I always tell my clients, you are never going to figure this out. You're trying to figure it out. If I do this, I'll go there. If I go there, I'll do this. It's not figuring it out. It's letting it out. Right? And it needs that pause. It needs that breath. It needs that beingness.
Woohoo! We're just going to have a record number of woohoos here today. So
I want to be your most woohoo guest. I'm competitive.
Awesome. And we'll have a woohoo meter, and we have to have a woohoo chart, number of woohoos per, which somebody has actually mentioned to us that would be a great way to rate your shows, is how many woohoos.
I love that. The woohoometer.
I love it. We should, and instead of thumbs up, thumbs down, you have the woohoometer next to each show. So you mentioned going step by step, and in your book, you talk about the importance of not looking for the answer, only next steps.
Yes. And again, we live in a culture that, I work with a lot of very accomplished people, and they're figuring out their 5-year plan, or they're figuring out, or sometimes they're trying to think about, well, I like this and I want to live here, but I want to do that. And they're trying to smash it all together like a Mr. Potato Head, like I'll put this in here and that in there. And this is an intuitive, guided path. What the main thing that I really am realizing that this book is about, and my life is about, is really about moving away from your head, like being, in your head, and moving into a life of being led. Moving into a life of being led from your instincts and from your love and from spirit or guidance or inspired self or whatever you call it, because all of us are so much more infinitely wise and loved than we ever could know, but we are living at such small capacities. And so the way that we do that is your instincts, your heart, your intuition doesn't speak in 5-year plans. It just doesn't. It speaks in moments. And so I talk about following the breadcrumbs. Here's our first food analogy. We're working it in. And
then we're going gingerbread houses. I see it coming.
But just for me, it's a path of following the breadcrumbs and following the breadcrumbs. And the thing about a breadcrumb is it might challenge you. It might challenge your identity. It might be, in the beginning of my career, when I first started, my first breadcrumb was I wanted to write poetry. And that sounded insane to me. You don't go from being a litigator, to writing poems. That is not okay. That is not safe. But, one of the things that happens is that one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. That where you start off is not where you end up, but you do have to follow what you get. And so just briefly, like for me, writing poetry led to writing poetic essays about career transition, because that's where I was. And then that led to writing a book. And then that led to doing support groups because I needed support groups for me. And then that led to teaching workshops. And then people started asking me, would I coach them individually? And I had no idea what that was back then. And then people started asking me, would I do retreats? And now I travel all over the country, speaking at, all kinds of different organizations. I never saw any of this. It started from breadcrumb to breadcrumb to breadcrumb. And your mind will fight the breadcrumb because very often it will be different than what you think it should be because your old identity is trying to see where you're going. And this is a new destiny. This is something else.
Woohoo! I call it for myself. I use breadcrumbs, but I also call it pulling the golden thread. And you pull and you pull. And what you're doing, it didn't occur to me till this moment. You've inspired me on thinking about the golden thread, is you're holding on and you're just one hand in front of the other. You feel the fear and you just keep holding on and pulling on that thread. In fact, you did that having to walk past a bear.
I knew you were going to go there.
Couldn't resist, Tama.
Yeah. So I tell this story in Thriving Through Uncertainty because this is a true story that happened to me. And it was such a great metaphor of what we're talking about, of just because briefly, I was hiking with a boyfriend in Oregon somewhere, and we really weren't prepared. We were just scampering through, and we wanted to see the ocean. We're from Colorado. We were living in Denver, and we wanted to see the ocean. And we went too long, and it started getting dark. It started getting darkish, and not dark, but it was just the light was fading, and we knew, oh my God, we've got to get back. We have got to hightail it back. Because we also knew that it was going to get colder and we weren't dressed right. We had T-shirts on and, you could face hypothermia. And we literally walk by at one point and we hear this crazy sound. I can't even mimic it. It's like some knocking crazy sound. And he's all curious. He's all like, "Ooh, what's that?" And I'm like, I'm from New York City. I am not comfortable with wildlife and nature, So it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. Let's just get the hell out of here. But anyway, I'm the one who looks, and I literally see a bear looking at me. And it was like one of those cartoon moments where you just literally walk backwards. We just walked backwards. And then it was this horrible, horrible decision moment of what do you do? Because the only way out to the car, to freedom, was to walk by that bear. And everything in me did not want to walk by that bear. But then you start doing the calculations of, if we don't walk by the bear, it's more comfortable to not face that fear. It's way more comfortable to not face that fear. But then it's going to be that slow death that you mentioned. It's going to be that slow death of it's going to get colder. It's going to be hypothermia. You'll feel sleepy. It's way more comfortable, but it leads to certain death, real death. Where facing the bear, I at least had a chance of freedom. It was scarier, but the only right direction is out. And so for me, we obviously, spoiler alert, I'm here. So I lived. But I think it was such a great metaphor for me at the time of realizing that sometimes you have to move in the right direction. And sometimes the right direction is terrifying. But there's only one right direction. You don't get to not do it. And the other thing that may feel so comfortable to you may be killing you slowly and maybe certain death.
What you're talking about, thank you for sharing, is proactive choices. We this is one time I'm going to use the H word, we have to make decisions or life will make the decisions for us.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's going on at all times, and you think it's not because you get lazy or you think you're comfortable, but that comfort will lead to real pain. And for me, that's what happened even as an attorney, is that people think, oh my God, you were so courageous to do this. But again, it was so much pain. If you're not living your soul's calling, if you're not living your dream, if you're not living what you're meant to do here, whatever that is, it doesn't have to be that you have to go write a book. It might just be that you want to move to New Jersey, or that you want to plant flowers in your garden, whatever it is, right? If you're not living your soul's calling or your dream, it starts to affect you. It starts to erode your confidence and your strength. And there will come a moment where there's pain.
Thank you. So while you get some water, I'm gonna give a great quote that you paraphrase here, and I absolutely love this. That the Buddha said that all suffering stems from trying to hold on to your chocolate mousse.
Yeah, that's my paraphrase of it. I have to put Buddhism into terms I can understand. And it is that, because again, with change, and I write what I'm learning. I'm not one of these experts on high that, oh, I have this so together that I'm just going to dispense this wisdom to you. It's more that I am in the trenches of this every single day of my life. I will be for the rest of my life, but I know these tools work, and that's why I'm excited to share them. But that paraphrase is that with change, we're trying to avoid change and make everything stay the same. If I could just hold on to this thing, if I could just hold on to the way it is, if I could just make sure that nothing ever changes, if I can have this chocolate mousse forever. And real life is designed to shimmy, right? Real life moves, shakes, shimmies, which I hate. Personally, I hate this. I do not think it's a good system. If I could do it differently, I would. But nobody's been asking me. And so, again, for me, Buddhism is that, and any spirituality really, is just that, how do I find the changeless inside myself? How do I find a calm and a strength that the form of my life can change? A relationship could change. God forbid someone could die. God forbid I could have an illness or a financial issue. And that the source of my life, the happiness of my life, the peace of my life does not have to come from the circumstances. That one of the things that I have continued to learn is that my identity is not my circumstances. That we tend to think, we tend to look out externally and think, I'm doing well today because X is here, or I'm not doing well today because X isn't here. And what I want to train people in is your identity is not your circumstances. Your circumstances do not say anything about you. And when you tap your real identity, you can change any circumstance. It's way more powerful.
Woohoo!
That's a real woo-woo, baby.
So let's talk about a few quick tools, and we're going to move on to later sections of the book. What's an inspired dialogue?
Okay. I love the Inspired SelfDialogues. I had mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I'll just go a little deeper into it because it is my go-to technique. And again, it doesn't have to be somebody else's, but it's just my go-to technique. And especially when you're in fear or you're struggling with something, because you know how you can't hear guidance when you're in fear. When you're in fear and your anxiety or you're upset or you're angry, you can't hear that deeper, wiser, better, bigger capacity you, because you're in fear. And so the Inspired SelfDialogue helps you work that out. So you might start getting that fear out or that criticism out or that negativity out in journaling. You're writing it all down, but then you are answering from your inspired self. And how I get you in touch with that is I would ask you to think about the most loving voice you could possibly ever imagine. Maybe it's a higher self. Maybe it's a spiritual voice to you. Maybe it's the voice of your mother who's been kind. Maybe it's the voice of a professor who always believed in you. A technique that often works is to think in terms of if you were talking to your best friend or to your child, what would you say to them? It is amazing what will come out because you think you don't have access to this deeper wisdom, but you do. And so when you write from that voice, something else comes out. And then what I do is I dialogue back and forth, so like my inner voice might say, rest, dear one, you're a child of light or something like that. And my crazy voice will go, I hope I'm a child of light because they're going to turn off the freaking lights, like we better get some real stuff here. So I argue back and forth. Well, I don't argue. I converse back and forth with them. And it has It has saved my life so many times. And the reason I'm so fascinated with the technique is it's just a constant reminder that no matter what you're feeling, no matter what you're thinking, there is a deeper part of you that knows another way. And I want to get people in touch with that deeper part of them.
Woohoo!
Yes.
What's the importance when we start to get in touch with our truth, when we start to discover who we are, or even a glimpse of where we want to go? What's the importance of making a vow?
I think it really is important to get clear that you're going to do this kind of commitment, because here's the crazy thing that happens. You get excited about, so maybe somebody's listening to us, right? And they get excited and going, oh, wow, I want to be a woohoo person, and I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to do that thing. And you get excited and you get ignited, because when you're inspired, you are clear. When you're inspired, this is the truth. It is. But then what happens is fear comes in, or negativity comes in. And so I talk a lot. It was the hardest chapter to write in Thriving Through Uncertainty, of Now Make a Vow, because I talked about different things that had come up that were so painful to me, of just a moment of when I was first trying to be a writer, and so many rejections were coming in, just constant rejections. And my father had just died, and the house had burned down. I mean, like, so many hard things were going on, so many difficult things, that it was very, very hard to maintain that inspiration. And I remember at one really, really pivotal moment of just feeling like I was going down. I was just going down. I was thinking, you know what? None of this is true. It's all garbage. It's all self-help crap, blah, blah, blah. And just feeling so broken. And then, thank God, some inner strength came up in me I call it like a wrath of self-love, just this strength of just said, no, I will not let you take me down. I will not go down. I will dare again. I will try again. I will believe one more time. And so that saved my life, of just, so I really think it's important to make that vow to yourself, whatever that is, that you will be unstoppable in this lifetime. And what I mean by that is you will not stop yourself. No matter what happens, you will be kind, you will fall, you will wallow, you will eat Ben and Jerry's a little bit. That's fine. But you will not stop yourself in this lifetime, because you have gifts and dreams. And thank God I became a writer, because my books have inspired thousands of people, and I get to live and breathe, and I'm so grateful, and I get to meet people like you because of it, and I'm so grateful. So those vows are important.
It goes both ways. You're in the trenches. Things are going. You're getting. You described the rejection letter so aptly well. They're saying something to the effect of "Go curl in a hole and die," when really, which is not the language they're using, but it's what we're hearing.
Best of luck in your endeavor.
Oh God! And how did you find the faith? Actually, it's two parts. We're going to blend them together. Never ask guests two questions at the same time. How did you find the faith, and how in the world did you stay in a place of self-love and kindness when that's coming at you letter after letter?
Oh God, yeah, and by the way, and it still is, right? Because the higher you go, you want the next thing.
Of course,
you want the next treatment, you want the next whatever, and then they're rejecting you, or that's not happening. And I think the main thing for me, it really is a practice. It's really a lifetime practice, and I will be in this for the rest of my lifetime, of that. I will not be choosing from my fear when I can choose from love. I want to choose from love every single time instead of fear. That doesn't mean I do. I'm human and I goof every single time. But what I see is that in the times that I choose from love or self-love or belief or hope or strength, those are the times I rise. Those are the times I try again. Those are the times I get strong. When I listen to the fears and fear can sound like practicality. It's never going to work. It should have happened by now. You're too old. You're too young. You're too this, blah, blah, blah. And so again, it's that choice point in life of what voice will you listen to in making any particular decision, because you will hear those voices. And so when you ask me how I find the faith, I deeply believe it's really important to have some kind of spiritual belief. I don't care what it is for anybody. I'm not here to proselytize anything. For me personally, I've taught a course in miracles for close to 30 years, and it's my path. It's the thing that gets me through. And the faith for me is remembering that I'm not alone in this, and that I'm called, and that there's a reason I want these things. When you have a dream, I work with people all the time, and no matter what happens, they still want that dream. You don't get to choose what you want. You don't get to choose what you love. It chooses you, and you still want it. And the fact that you still want it makes me believe that that's a calling, that you're meant to do that, and something's calling you to do it. And so for me, it's always coming back to that, because the alternative, it's not that I'm so brave or anything by any means. I have lots of journals to prove that. But it's just that the alternative is so horrible. The alternative of just giving up and not trying is just so horrible. I can't be with it. So it's a practice moment by moment.
It's fascinating because you talk about giving up. The word surrender comes into my head, and then you said something brilliant. You're not choosing it. You're not choosing
something brilliant. Let's go. Sorry, going back to what it was.
No worries. You said about things that we love. We're not choosing it. It's choosing us. And so when I think of surrender and prayer, and tell me if this falls into your camp as well, you're going, hey, God, source spirit, I joke and call it cheeseburger in the sky. If you're giving me this path, if I'm incredibly over the top passionate about this path, then I must be on track in my life. Help me. Please help me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I even go so far as threatening, because I'm Jewish, and it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I am Jewish, okay? So, like, I need some security here. Like, you best be treating me well. I'm doing this path. You best be showing me something good. But it is that surrender, and I think it's also this path for me. It kind of reinforces you as you go along. What I see is that the more I do something I love or care about, I get stronger and I get stronger. I'll give you an example. It was a really personal example of writing this book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. It was actually one of the biggest shifts I've personally had with it, and learning my own material of, I was really depressed before I wrote the book. I was starting to write it, but I was starting to get really depressed or disconnected, because I started telling myself this story of what's the point, of I had 4 other books out, and they've done well, but they haven't done super phenomenal, And so part of me was starting to tell this story of, what's the point of writing another book? You're going to have to market it. It's going to have to push it uphill. You're going to have to do that. You don't have the money for major publicists, and it's not fair. And like, all my stories come in, it's not fair, and I don't have this. And so I wasn't writing because I was listening to these stories. I was listening to these reasons. And if you would have asked me why I was upset or depressed, I would have told you it's because of these reasons, because of this. But what really happened was, I finally got myself to start writing. And when I started writing, I did not care. When I started writing, I was in touch with my strength again. When I was in touch with my writing, I was in touch with my genius again, and what I'm here to do and what I'm meant to do. And I realized that I wasn't depressed because of the reasons. I was depressed because I wasn't showing up in my life. And I needed to show up in my life no matter what. And that's what thriving through uncertainty for me is like, how can you show up and stop listening to the reasons, because they're not real. So it was a huge shift for me.
And the phrase that comes when you're not doing what you feel you're called to do, or what's pulling you, is pissed off like a mofo. When you're out of congruence with what you feel like you're being called to do, it will literally rip you in half to get you back on track.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the problem is that we don't realize that that's what's going on. again, you believe in those reasons. You believe in what other people tell you. You believe in the statistics. You believe in the causes. And anything that, anytime that you show up for what you're meant to do, it will strengthen you. It will ignite you. You'll literally change your brain chemistry. You will see things differently. You will perceive them differently. You will experience them differently. So for me, it's a path of not listening to those reasons.
How do we trust ourselves more?
God, I'll be writing for that for the rest of my life. I think that's really what this path is because we're all trying to follow what somebody else says. I used to get frustrated with all the self-help books of, I'd read all the 3 easy ways to your blah, 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 8 steps to blah, blah, blah. And then I'd always joke around like, oh my God, it's 80 days later and I'm still in the same sweatpants, and I'm failing self-help. Like, oh my God, what do you do? I am failing self-help. And so, what I realized is that I can't just follow somebody else's wisdom. I've got to follow mine, and I have got to learn how to trust myself. And so it's a path of a lot of what we're talking about getting out of our heads in any capacity, any way that anybody does that. And I think it's experimentation. We're so afraid. So many of my clients are so afraid because they want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing.
Paralysis time.
More time. I can't waste any more time. So what are you doing? You're wasting all your freaking time, being in your head worrying, right? Like we're all doing it. So I'm a big fan of experimentation. Just try something, just sample it. Even in listening to an interview like this, it doesn't mean that's it. Just go jump off, just go leap. I'm not a big leaper personally. I'm a toe in the water girl. And again, those experimentations will show you this feels good, this doesn't. Because again, even in trusting your inner voice, I have a story in the book about walking out of a labyrinth, of just
crazy labyrinth stuffed with people. It sounds like.
Yes, exactly. Because I was trying to do, so I was trying to be polite. I was visiting, somebody had set up these events for me in her city and I was being polite and she was taking me to this labyrinth and I didn't want to go to the labyrinth. I wanted to go back to the hotel. I wanted to watch Law and Order, like something very, very unspiritual. And she was trying to get me to do the spiritual thing. And I was thinking, okay, I got to do this spiritual thing. And I'm walking this labyrinth. And the whole time I'm hearing this inner voice that's going, get me out of here. I'm tired. I just want to go back. I'm tired. But I'm fighting with it. The other part of me is going, you're just lazy. You're a loser. See, everybody else is centered and you're busy wanting to watch TV. You're so not cool, blah, blah, blah. And it took me a while to realize, what if that is my inner voice saying, I want to leave? And the point of that story for me was so pivotal because it was like not deciding beforehand what's spiritual, what's practical, what's lucrative, what's right. We have all these assumptions of what the right answer is, and I want to help you listen to the original divine answer that might look completely different than you thought. I walked out of the labyrinth. I did find the center. I found it in my hotel room feeling good.
Woohoo!
Yes.
What I like so much about that is by stepping out of other people's labyrinths, you like how I put that, by stepping out of other people's labyrinths and making our own choice, we begin to baby step our way into our own unique power. And the more we make these little, which are really magnificently huge choices for ourselves, the stronger and more confident we get. And even we make a quote unquote bad choice, which is never a bad choice, we learn and grow and say, at least I made the choice and I'm going to grow stronger because now I know I've got my back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love what you just said, Michael, because we think that baby steps are baby or just small, but I think they're heroic. They're heroic. They're gargantuan. Anytime you are listening to your inner voice or your inner genius, it's huge. Who are you to decide what's small? Who are you to decide what's big? You don't even know where this is going. Right? But it's the willingness to trust that instinct when it doesn't look like what you think it should look like. And one of the telltale signs, by the way, like in my labyrinth story, was it was self-loving. I finally realized, like, why would, I'd been judging myself. You got to stay here. You got to do the right thing. You got to be spiritual, or you got to be blah, blah, blah. That wasn't loving. That wasn't a loving voice. The loving voice was saying, you're tired, honey. Go home. Take care of yourself. So one of the ways that you're listening to the right voice is it's self-loving.
Woo!
Yeah.
I have a mantra that fits there perfectly. Kind, gentle, easy, good. Is staying in this situation where I feel like I'm suffocating, kind, gentle, easy, and good to myself. And
I love that.
You ask that, and it becomes very clear. Let me step to the side here.
Otherwise, you become a mofo. What was the other standard here?
Something about an angry, pissed off mofo. Because you will. I always say that anger and frustration is trying to please two taskmasters. And so if you're trying to please yourself and you're trying to please somebody else at the same time, you're never going to win. And the only outcome 100% of the time is pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful.
So
true.
On that note, on the judgment side of things, when you're looking at all the other people in that labyrinth, it becomes really easy to say, well, they're doing it. They're enjoying it. Of course, they have a better life than me.
Yes, 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 yes. Always. Like everybody's got their demons or their particular fears that take them down. That's probably mine, like self-comparison, like I'm always looking around and going, they're doing it right. They're not, this person's got it all going on. I don't, and I wrote a chapter in Thriving Through Uncertainty of no one has a better life than you. No one has a better life than you. And it, for me, it was just this realization that the times when I think I'm not having the right life or a better life, it's because I'm so busy comparing myself or looking over there, what they have and what they're going through. And I'm not in my life. I'm not in my right life. I'm making all kinds of assumptions about what they have. And I'm also taking my power away from what I have. And I tell a story of I met some woman at a conference at one point, and at the time I was single and I really wanted to meet somebody, and she had this perfect relationship and they're like disgustingly in love at this conference, and they both have blonde hair and they're, and they're cooing at each other, and so I'm at this conference and you had to do these exercises or something, and I get paired with her and I'm like, oh God, please no. But the universe has such a sense of humor, of course, so I get paired with her. And so I'm me, I'm honest. I blurt out whatever's going on for me and like, I'm so messed up and whatever. And then she tells me, oh my God, Tama, I admire you so much. I could never be as honest as you. I could never be as real as you. I'm in this relationship and I'm not happy and I need to get out of it, but I don't have the courage to tell him. This is the same woman. I've been analyzing the entire conference about what they have, what I don't have. And so it was such, again, a great lesson of you don't know what someone else is going through. And what I do know is that when I'm truly in my own life and I'm really planting my own garden and I'm really doing my work and I'm really in this moment listening to my voice, I lack for nothing. There is nothing I lack when I am truly, truly being in that presence. And so for me, that's my lifelong discipline, to come back to my life.
Woohoo!
Yes.
At those moments, and the key word moment is, there's no goal to get to. Yes, you have this passion that's pulling you forward, but if you can truly be in the moment, on your journey, on your path, it is perfect in that slice, in that sliver, no matter where you are, because it's your choice. You've made it. You're going for it. You're here. You're in a sense in a driver's seat. It's a two-step dance with the universe, of course, but you are on path, and that's where the juice is.
That is where the juice is, and it's always where the juice is, and it's a lie thinking it's going to be over there. Someday I'll feel X. When I get this, I'll feel that. When I get over there, it'll be okay. If this one thing resolves, it'll be fine. We are all doing this to ourselves, and it's a joke. It's the cosmic joke. There is, T.S. Eliot said, there is no there, right? It's like, it's all about here, and again, in Thriving Through Uncertainty, I have a chapter of like, why does it take so long to succeed? Why is it taking so long to succeed? And, and I'd be like having all these theories about I should have done this and I could have done that. And, oh my God, Michael's editor is doing a focus group. I didn't do a focus group. I'm just like, your mind can go nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, really it is about standing on holy ground. And when you stand on holy ground, what that is for me is you're standing holy, WH, wholeness,
Yep.
holy in your life. I am holy in this moment. I am wholehearted in this moment. I am not judging myself in this moment. I am not judging a circumstance in this moment. When you do that, that is holy ground. That is where everything begins. That's really the whole point of it. That's all that you really want, is to get past your own self-judgment. That's what I'm working on for the rest of my life, is to really let go of all those noisy voices that are judging you so that you can hear the one true voice, because you're right where you need to be. Anybody that's listening to this, they're right where they need to be right now, and that if we weren't judging ourselves, we'd know that next step. We'd know that next experience, and we'd feel that absence of lack. The only lack we're feeling is because we're not in our lives. We're not in our bodies. We're not in this moment. Whoa, I got a silent woohoo.
Woohoo! Speechless, Tama. Speechless. All right. I'm taking off my coaching hat. Clearly, we got to put it on you today. You go, girl. What one homework assignment would you give people today to step into their truth, to start moving forwards with their true, genuine life?
Well, of course, one part of me, the homework assignment was buy every single one of my books. Absolutely.
And buy multiple copies and give them away to friends and loved ones.
To the whole world. That is truly, I think that is your inner guidance speaking. I really do. I think that's everybody's inner guidance. So that part put aside.
Oh, wait. I got a segue. We've got to go there. A URL so that they can go to find your books and to find out more. This wasn't planned. I was actually going to say that for a question or two later, but might as well.
Might as well say it over and over. What the heck? Yeah, no, it's tamakieves.com. Tamakieves.com, my name, TAMAKIE, V as in Victor, ES.com. We have free guides on the website that you can download, the newsletter that keeps you inspired once a month.
I'm on your newsletter.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. And I'm on Facebook daily. I'm on Twitter daily. But the website is probably the best place. I call it the mothership. It's a way to connect, because I do programs all over the country and different parts of the world, and it's just a way to stay connected. I love hearing from people, so I always invite people to write to me. I love hearing from people, and I am deeply committed to creating a worldwide organization where we are helping people stay in touch with inspiration instead of fear. Because like what we're talking about, it's practice every single day, and it's community every single day. So yes, thank you.
Woohoo!
Woohoo is right. Woohoo! Tama Kieves land.
And you are genuine. That is one of the things that you have got it going on. You're not saying, life is perfect, I've got it all figured out, come listen to me, it's perfect. You share all of your stories in there. I don't even know how you weave them in so well. I couldn't figure out a pattern. It was beautifully done. It wasn't like, put the story here, then the this, then the that. It's seamlessly, but you're sharing from the heart. Okay, coaching hat, back, on you, go.
Yes. So one thing to do, I guess the thing that I most want for people is to do something they love, something that moves them, something that feels good, something that, especially if you've been doubting yourself, especially if you've put a dream on hold or a desire on hold, or, thought it's too late, or you've got to get serious now, or whatever. Let's resurrect that puppy, right? I want you to do anything that you love at least once. Like, try something. It could be something simple. Like even if you've been saying, I'm going to go to a yoga class, then sign up today. Let's do that. Let's make that happen. Because again, two things I'll say about that is that thinking about something is very, very different than being in the experience of it. right? When you're in the experience of it, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I have people come to my workshops that are like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did this, where a lot of times they're thinking about it, right? And so anything that you love is going to change your whole chemistry. It's going to change. You're going to be in that inspired mind again. And when you're in that inspired mind again, you will know what's next, and you will know what's next. So the main thing I think I want to say with that is that if you are at any point telling yourself that it's frivolous, oh, it's silly, oh, it's stupid, it's, oh my God, this is really dumb, I can't do that. I would encourage you to know that it's not frivolous, it's imperative. It's imperative. This is not about just, oh, it's fun, it feels good. This is imperative. This is about bringing your inner voice into this world. It is about following the one holy, amazing path that is in you, that is in no one else. I want you to have this adventure. I want you to have this experience. I want you to be woohooing. I want you to really be trusting, oh my God, I'm led. Oh my God, I am loved. Oh my God, I am guided. And the only way you're going to know that is to trust that little inner voice and take that next step. So that's what I'd want most.
This is your life.
Yeah. And it's so much better than you can know. It really is.
Woohoo!
Yes!
What advice would you give to parents to help their kids on this journey?
Oh, judge the hell out of them. That really is very...
Oh, no.
Same thing. So I understand parental concerns of, yeah, but my kid needs to make a living, and, that's easy for you to say, and blah, blah, blah. But I would say the same thing. Encourage their strengths, encourage their passions, because where there's a passion, there's an innate genius there, and there's an innate talents there that you don't even know, and so and it's naturally confidence building. And so I think the main thing I would say is encourage that. Also, the other thing I would say is that, especially as parents, I know that there's the fears, and we're trying to protect our children, and we're trying to protect them from hurt, and but if you can, there's a concept in the Course in Miracles called true empathy. And what it is I empathize with your strength. I don't empathize with your weakness. I empathize with your strength. And so instead of seeing your weaknesses, or I might hear your problems, and I'm going to be compassionate, but I'm going to empathize with your strength. I'm going to remember, I know who you are. I know the magnificence in you. I know you can do this. I know you've got it going on. Come from that place with your kids, and encourage them to in that place with your kids, and encourage them to go for their dreams in whatever way. And going for your dreams isn't mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean you don't pay the bills. It doesn't mean you're not responsible. Again, your inner voice is not a moron. It will tell you that it will help you pay your taxes too, right? So it's not either or.
That's a woohoo.
Your inner voice is not a moron. That's Tama Kieves.
We're slapping that up there with this show. That's for sure.
Great.
What brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
It's this. I think it's really I think, to be honest with you, and it may sound, when I hear from readers that, oh my God, I read your book and it helped me, or Tam, I'm crying, I found my dream, or whatever. There is such a sense of like, I just feel such gratitude, or I just feel like so, my God, for this I came, for this I came, of just, it is the holiest thing on the planet for me to have expressed my deepest truths. And, as a writer, and I'm very honest in my books, and I'm putting out stuff that scares me, and that it reaches somebody in a country I've never been to, or in a state that I've never been to, or somebody who's scared, and something I wrote changed the way that they thought about themselves that day. Yeah. That's always, but for me, that's like, okay, you can take me now, baby. You can take me now. This is good. I have had my lifetime, baby. So for me, that really is the deepest, most fulfilling thing.
And you would give that a woohoo?
I would give that a woohoo. That's woohoo! A woo. That's a Maya Angelou woo.
Oh, I like it. So before we jump into a brief meditation, provided you have time, we've been running long. This is just too much fun. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with people?
Any last words? Like I wasn't sharing enough words of wisdom.
No. It's Columbo. TV show I watched as a kid, and he'd go, he's got the murderer. Murderer's about to get off scot-free, and Columbo, the detective, would go, "Oh, just one more thing. Can I borrow that pen right there?" And he pulls out the pen, and it links him to the murder, and the whole case is done by that one last question.
And you just did that for me, because I know when I was thinking, my God, what else would I want to share? And it just came, and I wouldn't have shared this. So thank you. That's pretty brilliant. I guess what I would say is that it's always about choosing again. It's always about choosing again. So, we've been talking about how you'll get inspired and you'll get excited and you'll get believing, and then you'll get scared, and then you'll get disconnected, and then you'll get afraid. And the worst part is when you're in that mindset, it seems real. It really does seem real. And so my advice, my prayer for every single person would be choose again. Choose again in this moment. Choose to believe one more time. Choose to love one more time. Choose to love yourself one more time. Choose to give yourself another chance, especially in the new year, right? Where, of that, you started a diet, now you botched it. You were going to get on a dating site, and now you've blown it off already. You hate, what's happening. Choose again. Give it another chance. Give yourself another chance. Give that instinct that told you, yes, this, yes, this. When you were inspired, you knew you wanted this. Choose that again. Always choose to believe in yourself again. Choose it for me. Choose it for you. Choose it for this universe. We each have so many gifts to give this world, so much love to give this world. And I need you in your love so that you'll remind me to be in my love when I'm freaking out. And so, again, choose again. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Now, I am so glad that I asked that question.
I am too.
Would you have time for a brief guided meditation?
Absolutely. We can even do it on Choose Again.
I like it. Whatever you feel called, I'll sit back and get comfortable. If you're driving down the road in a car, probably listen to this afterwards.
Let's do it. So let's just get into a comfortable position. And let's let all the words fade away. And even if your mind is telling you right now, oh, I can't do this, I'm too busy, I won't do it right, that's fine. Let it babble. Let it just babble. And together as a community, because we are doing this together in this sacred moment, for just this moment, we breathe in all the way. Just breathe in to the core of your beingness. And then breathe out. I just breathe into the core of my beingness. And I breathe out. And if it helps you at all, you might place your hand on your heart or any other gesture that connects you to the deepest part of you, that connects you to the willingness to be in touch with this precious presence. And together we are asking to co-create a safe and a sacred space. We are joining minds and hearts and energy. This is a holy moment. We are each beginning again. With every breath that I breathe in, I'm choosing in this moment to give myself another chance, to give myself this chance, this moment, this holy moment. Whatever my mind is saying or not saying, I ask to listen to my inner voice. I invite my beloved to speak. I invite the beloved one within me, the one that guides me, the voice of my heart, the voice of my soul, the voice of my knowing. I invite this voice to guide this experience, whatever it wants to be. And I breathe in, and I let go, and I let go, and I let go. And see if in this moment there is anything at all that your inner voice would have you know. Is there anything that my inner voice would have me know in this moment? Perhaps it comes as a word, perhaps as an image, perhaps a memory, perhaps a feeling. Perhaps it comes right now. Perhaps it comes later. It always comes. I am being answered. I am being answered. I am being guided. And resting for a moment more, just resting together in this holy presence. I am letting go. I'm letting go of needing to do anything. I let go of needing to do anything. I let go of needing to do anything. And I let go of thinking I need to do something else or be something else. I turn myself over in this holy moment, in this sacred moment, with all these precious minds joining me. And in this moment, I ask to listen and to receive. In spirit, I am asking in this moment to choose again, right now, to choose again. To choose to know my strength at a deeper level than I have ever known it. I am asking to choose again, to choose to know my love in its infinite capacity, to choose to know the deepest self, to choose to know your guidance. I am choosing to allow my dreams to truly happen now. My wildest dreams, my sweetest dreams, the hopes I dare not hope, and the deepest peace, the truest peace. I do not need to know how any of this will happen. I do not know. But I am choosing. Spirit, I am choosing. And so for a moment more, we rest, drop down, and just breathe. Feel into this moment, into this knowing. We are choosing to begin again. We are choosing to begin. And perhaps your inner voice reminds you in this moment, I am loved. I am safe. I am whole. I am loved. I am safe. I am free. I'm free in this moment, and I'm safe, and I'm whole, and I'm loved.
And as of this instant, I am proclaiming this, I am embodying this, I'm integrating this, I'm receiving it. The rest of my day will reflect this. Something has been ignited and activated. I am turning my attention to this presence. I am loved. I'm choosing to love myself, to believe in myself, to allow this life to become more than I thought possible. So for a moment more, just breathing in, breathing out, breathing into this deeper strength, letting go, just letting go. And knowing that you can return at any time, that you will never leave this space and it will never leave you. This conversation is now beginning. And we take a moment simply to also hold the highest intention for everybody listening, everybody doing this with us at any time. That we are collectively, as a group, as a community, we are collectively holding the intention for the highest good, the highest love for every single human being, listening, receiving, that we are not alone in this, that our minds are joined and so powerful. That there are those who are now holding the intention for our good, and we're receiving it. I am receiving it. I am receiving it. I am receiving it. I am receiving. And as you feel ready and in your own right time, just begin to allow your mind to return. Whenever you feel ready and in your own right time, choose to return as a new one, allowing this energy to guide you and coming back as you feel ready.
I'm recharged and blissed out. Woohoo!
Thank you.
This has been so beautiful, Tama. It's so beautiful. I was so excited when I heard we were having you back on the show.
I was so excited too. I feel such a connection to you. So thank you, really. I'm as good because I'm with you. I am, like when you're in the right connection, it's just phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tama, for having you on the show. We almost forgot to say, did you have something free you wanted to offer people today?
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me because I forgot. We've been doing this special that if you like the meditations, if you buy Thriving Through Uncertainty, we come to the website, you get a free month of meditations, audio meditations, 5 minutes every day for a copy of the book. We have different ones. You buy 3 copies of the books, you get a coaching program with me and the meditations. And so it's just a way of supporting more people because I designed those 5-minute guided meditations to keep you focused every single day. So buy a copy of Thriving Through Uncertainty, come to the website. We will set you up and get you connected to that. So thanks so much for reminding me.
You are most welcome. Website one more time.
It's tamakieves.com, tamakieves.com.
And if you didn't catch that, come on over to inspirenationshow.com and we'll get you over to Tama Kieves, TAMAKIEVES.com. So we'll absolutely have to have you back on the show and then back again.
And back again, yes.
Absolutely.
And when you come out this way, I want to connect. So,
woohoo!
Yes. Thank you so much.
We will make it happen. Got to crank it back up for the finish then. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get thriving through uncertainty, and start choosing your greatest life today and shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much, Tama. This has been amazing. It is such a special, heartfelt connection. I cannot thank you enough.
Ditto. I'm so grateful that you're doing this incredible work in the world and that your spirit and shines right through too. And we are creating these conversations in the world and shifting the world. Thank you, Michael.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yes! And you're a woohoo guy. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!